I didn't get
Hmm? Yeah, she's gotta wait till after the meeting.
I sent Mimi's.
I'm gonna have you use your best judgment on that one.
I'm changing the name tag. Name tag.
Yeah.
Chairs out.
It's like church, nobody wants to sit.
Someone dated another big day.
Something like that.
You got that right. You got that.
Dr. Jeanette Street, Virgil's Apple TV.
All right, give it a shot.
How you doing?
Very good. Cold.
Yeah. That's right. New York City doesn't get the weather we get here today.
Okay.
It's a little bit warmer down here.
Step out from time.
It gets snow, but not like this.
Okay, yeah.
I was so shocked. I like looked out the window.
Right in
I was
it,
like,
but-
okay.
Is it still the Sweet Home Network or is it?
What is
Yes, we
that?
know.
Am I saying?
I'll figure it out.
You had to do a double take.
Not
You can't see
I don't
Virgil's.
see Virgil's Apple TV.
Okay.
No, it's off the same. Starts with an F though. No, it's not that long. So. I don't know. There's too many different ones. It's just not gonna be real different. Just too many trips up and down the hall.
Oh, yeah.
Unless I'm doing it wrong.
I'll just give you mine.
So if you see me step up, you'll know
Yeah,
why.
no, I'm not like it. Like,
Too far away from me.
so you're not gonna
Back
do
there.
that, right?
Sorry. I might be there complaining a little because I'm there again, but.
No.
Do you hear anything yet?
Oh.
Colleges.
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
that was when you were here.
No, yeah, I don't know. I'm having
Yeah, I
a hard
know.
time choosing.
Okay, you
Yeah.
tell me on the right. I don't get
Mine.
one, so that'll be our talk.
It's popped up.
Is it Medicare or the church?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I have to go for my interview.
Mhm.
May
Talked to Dr. Lucci and like Mr. Ryu about it, but they're just like not in
This
their
is something else.
offices.
For
So
the social, I don't know, the card, the Medicare, whatever it is, the card. Yeah.
Oh, they've been changing a lot of the rules. 'cause it's,
Yeah. I'm
uh,
going to the- See, look at you.
We had for Bonnie's, we had to get. This is gonna be because the online forms would work if they accept the stuff.
See, no, I
Mr. Valenti, whenever you're ready.
Ready? Yeah. Oh, all right, that makes it. even tougher.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's do the roll call. Moesha,
yeah.
Ms. Jason,
Here?
Mr. Johnson,
I am here.
Mr. Rabinold,
Here.
Mr. Leibel,
Here.
Miss Anthon.
Here.
I am here. Miss Battaglia is excused for personal reasons due to a death in the family. So our thoughts are with her and her family tonight. So can I have a motion and a second to approve the roll?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Okay, moving on, approval of the agenda. Remember that any comments we will be voting on at actually meetings in 2 weeks, not next week. So in 2 weeks, we will be voting on the agenda. Meetings from previous minutes, any comments? Okay, again, we will be voting on the minutes at our next meeting on the 22nd. Communications, does anybody have any communications to share?
I think we all got a packet today of all the different emails that came in, and I know we've been receiving emails throughout the week, voicing concerns that we'll talk about later.
And we all got letters from Dave Lowry about his position with Erie County Association of School Boards, the Amherst IDA, that was on the work on Sweet Home Road, right?
Yep.
No,
No, it wasn't.
that's a new building that's gonna be down the road, yeah,
Yeah.
Creekside.
Sorry. And then Erie One Bosse's annual meeting is tomorrow, if I'm not correct, right?
Please.
Okay, any other comments or communications to share? Okay, moving on to unfinished business. We do not have any. So Dr. Genestri, you are up with your report.
Thank you, Mr. Belanti. We got a few updates for our community. We wanted to start with Mr. Feldman and where we are with the budget.
Thank you, everybody, and good evening. We are in our third budgetary study session tonight, so we'll take a look at kind of updates from when we last met last March. So it's always important, I like to kind of do this to give you kind of a timeline of events in terms of our overall budget process. The process really begins honestly in earnest in December, but these are some major milestones that we've kind of worked through as we get to this point tonight. We have submitted our final tax cap calculation to the state on March the 1st. School board candidate, for those that might be interested in running for the school board, petitions are due to the district clerk office on Monday, April 20th at 5 o'clock. We do have 2 seats open. The terms of Mr. Leibel and Mr. Rabinold are expiring in June. So the top 2 vote getters in May will be elected to 2 5-year terms each, 1 5-year term each. The last day for our board to adopt the proposed budget by state law is April 25th. You will actually vote to approve the budget, proposed budget 2 weeks from tonight, which would be April 22nd. We do have to submit our property tax report card by April 28th. And then we have to do a required public hearing on the budget anytime between May 6th and May 13th. Ours is on May 6th. And the annual budget vote and school board election takes place on Tuesday, May 20th. And voting will take place here in Vertil Center from 7 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. So this is kind of where we've been to date. You can see from the screen there the number of budget study sessions. We are on budget study session number 3. This is a budget update. The discussion is to kind of how things have changed since we met in March. Any updates on the New York State budget and final state aid runs as we stand now. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, the board will vote to adopt the budget with or without a New York State budget on Tuesday, April 22nd.
What are the big stumbling blocks with the state budget? Cell phones?
Cell phones are one, and there are 2 other issues that I've come, and Dr. Jessner might be able to expand on it more, but that have really nothing to do with education at all.
What are they?
One has to do with, I believe, the judicial system and.
One is about masking.
And masking.
masking.
Is about masking.
The other one's about discovery of trials.
Thank you.
Yep.
So just for our community, we're kind of, doing this blind, not blind, but there's a lot of factors that aren't known right now.
That's correct. When we last left in March, this is kind of what we had as far as next steps from the budgetary creation and process. We needed to work through and solidify the New York 44 Trust health insurance numbers. When we met last, we literally got the numbers on our health insurance premiums the day of our meeting. So we've done that, and you'll see me, we'll talk about that as we kind of go through tonight's presentation. We continue to work through salary lines and make sure our salary lines are sound from that standpoint. We needed to finalize, remember, last time we presented, we did tell you that we've been awarded an integrated setting, a school setting, and an integrated UPK program through the New York State Education Department, a grant. We are working, and that will be revenue that will be brought into the general fund. We are working still with New York State Education Department, the rate setting unit, to finalize our rates. We have not done that yet. We do have, as I mentioned earlier, preliminarily been approved for the classrooms. We're just working through the rates as we speak. So hopefully we'll get those in place by next week or 2 weeks from tonight, Tuesday. We will continue to monitor the New York State budgetary progress and its potential impacts on state aid. As we've already talked about, the New York State budget was due on April the 1st. It is April the 8th. We do not have a New York State budget as of yet. We are working off state aid runs and estimates that were presented as part of the executive runs back in January. So, and then the last piece of it, we would adjust our budget and report back to you on tonight on the April 8th study session. So on the revenue side of the budget, there are four areas that impact the four major areas that impact the revenue side of the budget. State aid, honestly, there is no update right now. We are waiting on the New York State budget approval. We do have a little bit of an update on BOCES aid and high excess cost aids that we'll get to a little bit later. One of the things that we've taken advantage of is working with Erie One BOCES to look further into our BOCES aid and make sure that that number is true. And then we contract with the Capital Region BOCES with Questar to have them do our stacking process for our special education students. And we do have an update on some high excess cost aids on the revenue side. Real property taxes, our final tax cap was again filed to New York State. We do have a small tax cap limit this year of 0.4%, which translates to about $218,000 for us. And the reason for that is that this latest capital project has hit the books, and we saw a significant, or will see a significant increase in building aid, and the building aid lowers our ability to raise taxes from that standpoint. As I made mention in March, our building aid going forward will remain flat, so I believe that our tax cap will kind of return to where it was in the past. Sales tax is another major area. We did receive our third quarter payment from Erie County. We got a little over 1.4 million in sales tax payments to the district on March 31st. We are trending toward about $5.5 to $5.6 million in sales tax revenue for this year. For next year, we did budget $5,450,000 for the 25-26 budget in terms of sales tax revenue. And then we talked about the reserves to close any potential budgetary gaps and or to lower the tax levy. And we have maintained our reserve usage, which was consistent with last year at $350,000. So this just gives you kind of a snapshot, more closer look at our sales tax revenue. You can see last year we did net $5,424,139 in sales tax revenue. As I mentioned earlier, we are trending toward about $5.6 million for that. We had budgeted this year $5.1 million for sales tax revenue. So that's a good plus on our side in terms of an additional revenue. And next year, again, we are budgeting $5.45 million in sales tax revenue. So on the revenue side, just to kind of further this, we did see, we talked last last month rather, in March, about some BOCES rent. As you know, we receive rent from Area One BOCES for their use of Dexter Terrace, North Towns Academy during the school year. We have worked out an agreement. It's actually a lease agreement that you'll see in your board packet for tonight for them to continue to use the remainder of the building over the course of the summertime. We initially estimated that at $50,000. It's actually going to be $18,000 so that it can be consistent with what BOCES does at other school districts across the region for summertime. And then we did see a small decrease in our BOCES aid, and we've scaled back a little bit on our UPK grant for the special education inclusive program to the tune of about $55,000. But on the other side of it, on the plus side of it, we do expect a private and public excess cost aid bump from what we originally estimated of about $150,000. So net increase on the revenue side since we last met, $63,000. So I know this is super easy to read, but this is our summary of the total revenue for the district that we are estimating for the 25-26 school year. We do estimate revenues of $105,576,012. Which is an increase budget to budget year of $5,165,590 or 5.1%. So on the expense side, what I did here is I just wanted to show you kind of what has been increased since we last met in March to get us to what I'm presenting tonight to a balanced budget. So we are recommending an increase in overall utilities, specifically electricity, in the district of $7,181. We are adding to budgetary lines for buildings and grounds, materials and supplies, $15,000. We are adding salaries. This is again getting our salaries true and right based upon the staffing recommendation from March. We're recommending we add $100,000, $50,000 to each line, the elementary and the secondary teacher line. We are adding $23,000 to reimbursement in lieu of health insurance for folks that don't take health insurance. We are increasing our special education tuition to other schools by $25,000. We are increasing our technology budget to Area One BOCES for student iPads and teacher laptop lease of $43,000. We are adding transportation salaries of $30,440 and adding materials and supplies to transportation in terms of $5,000. Now, we are also recommending a decrease in the lines of our employee benefits in terms of contributions to the teacher retirement system and the employee retirement system of $15,000. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, we did just receive last month, we did just receive our employee health insurance premiums. So we are recommending a decrease in that line of $150,000. So this is just kind of an overall snapshot of what I'm presenting tonight, a balanced budget. We do have, again, budgeted revenues of $105,576,012, which is a 5.1% increase. Of that, the local tax levy is $54,486,662, which is that 0.4% increase. That is right to the tax cap. That falls within the parameters of the tax cap, which means that if this budget is adopted, that the budget only needs to pass by a simple majority. And then on the expense side, again, $105,576,012. 5.1% increase. We are at a balanced budget. And then I thought it would be helpful just to kind of look at our overall major budgetary increases, both on the revenue side as well as on the expense side. This is from budget to budget, from the 24-25 budget to the proposed budget of 25-26. You can see on the revenue side, tax levy, again, that's the tax cap, $218,590. We will receive an additional, we are scheduled to receive an additional $52,000 in pilot agreements through the Amherst IDA. We expect to receive $350,000 more in sales tax, $340,000 more in interest, $30,000 more in BOCES rent, and $3.75 million in state aid, both foundation aid and expense-driven aids. That plus the additional funding that we expect to come in to the general fund from the UPK special education grant of $660,000. That increase gives us about $5.4 million in revenue increase. On the expense side, these again are major expense side increases. Salaries in total across all of our bargaining units, admin, service, and teachers is an increase of about $1.4 million. Utilities are $100,000. Our BOCES services, anything that we purchase from BOCES, we expect about a $502,000 increase. Our liability insurance for the district, a $75,000 increase. Charter school tuitions, $200,000. Special education in general, this includes salaries, this includes materials and supplies, this includes transportation, this includes one-to-one nursing, this includes special education tuitions for out-of-district placements. We would see an increase of $1.435 million. We will see an increase in our bus purchases of $147,000. Our contracted transportation, those are runs that we cannot cover with our own drivers. We would expect that we're going to see an increase of about $500,000 in contracted transportation. And then overall in employee benefits, FICA, health insurance, contributions to the employee retirement system, $1 million. So you can see that those major expenses at $5,359,000 is very close to the revenues that we get in terms of the $5.4 million. So I thought that that might be helpful to kind of set the tone, set a picture of where we are at budgetarily from that standpoint. It's quite, just if you give me a second, it's from my vantage point, without the additional aid that we are planning to receive for these special education UPK classrooms, we would not have a balanced budget and we could not make the budget work. Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Do we have any control over the charter school tuition at all?
We do not.
How, are the individual schools raising the rate or is this a rate?
A number of kids, both. It's really a number of kids that we anticipate going to charter schools as well as rates increasing, and the same with special education. We don't have a lot of say in those tuition rates. So we're budgeting, as we've talked throughout the course of the year, this budgetary year has been difficult because of the number of special education students that have come into the district, and particularly those that have been placed out of the district at offsite placements. And those, we haven't been able to keep up with the increases. So we hope that this number will help us do that.
Do you have a number for that? How many students we place in agency schools?
I don't. I can get that for you. I don't know that off the top of my head.
When do we do the bids for contracted transportation?
We're going to talk a little bit about that. We've done a contracted transportation bid in 2021-22 school year.
So we're due?
Well, let me say this. We are allowed to continue the contracted transportation bid, really honestly in perpetuity. What we do is we increase by CPI every year. From that standpoint. As we get into the evening's agenda tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about contracted transportation. When we bid the contracted transportation run in 21-22, we bid it based upon the schools we were transporting at the time. We were transporting 41 schools at the time, contracted transportation. Presently, we are transporting about 29 schools still on that list. but we are also transporting to several new schools. So rather than going back out to bid, because we're not sure as to what kind of a response that we would get, we've met with the contractor, and the contractor has agreed to supplement schools that weren't on the original bid, that we are transporting now, onto the bid. So it's advantage to us, because we're gonna, and we'll talk a little bit about it later, but we're gonna pick up some drivers and help us do some other things too.
And are we still seeing a lot of challenges to assessments or not?
Not as many anymore. We
Sure.
got, from a residential standpoint, we got about 30 or 40, from that
We've
standpoint.
dwindled that number?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet, thus
Okay.
far. So I don't know again where we'll be in terms of equalization rates or things along those lines, but I would expect, that we won't see the challenges that we saw this past school year, or
And
this
as
current
far as the
school year.
Boulevard Mall, is that at any point going to start affecting us?
Not this budgetary year, maybe next, the following year,
Okay, thank you.
26, 27, maybe. Dr. Genestri, so this is, we've done this traditionally, to be able to provide kind of a snapshot on what present day, what we believe our tax rates to be. Again, I'll just remind the audience and those that may be watching at home, that we are using, assessment values at this current school year's levels. We won't know our assessment values for next school year until August, which is when we set the tax rates, and the board approves it. So this is really a snapshot in comparison what we are proposing in terms of a tax levy for next year, 54,486,000, using this year's assessment values, and equalization rates. So for a home that is assessed at $150,000, this proposed budget would see, for the residents of the town of Amherst, a tax bill increase of $4, and for the town of Wanda side, an increase of $6. And then if you hit the next slide, Dr. Genestri, we bumped up the assessment level to $250,000. $250,000, town of Amherst residents would see an increase of $7. Town of Wanda, $9. And then the last slide is $350,000. There it is. Town of Amherst is $10 increase, and town of Wanda is $13 increase. The average home now is probably more closely tied to that $250,000 assessment. And then the last thing, we have 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks before the board approves the budget. New York State still has not passed their budget April 1st. So we are hopeful that the aid estimates that we've received will remain intact. As I mentioned to you before, we've received good news on our total aidable foundation pupil unit, which is what they base foundation aid over. We have confirmation that our number, unlike last year, remains steady. It didn't decrease, and we won't hopefully be caught by surprise from that. As to whether the administration decides to cut any aids, we won't know until likely after we vote on the budget. So the last thing that I will make mention of, we've been working with our, in the budget itself, there are bus purchases. We are looking to purchase 4 large passenger electric buses, 1 large passenger diesel bus, and 1 small passenger diesel bus at a net cost of $1,077,000. We do have funding through both the EPA and the New York State School Bus Incentive Voucher Program that will help us to receive grant funding of about $950,000 from that standpoint to help offset the cost of those buses. But we have been talking with our bus manufacturers And the steel that is used to manufacture our buses is from Canada. So we could expect a 25% tariff on those. And if that does happen, I'm hopeful that once the board passes the budget or adopts the budget on the 22nd, we can sign a letter of intent to purchase those buses if our budget passes in May. So I'm hopeful in conversations with our bus provider that if we get those in, we might beat said tariff. But if we don't, we'll have to have some different discussions after the fact. Yes, sir.
Are you still confident in the funding from the EPA at this point, or do we have it in hand?
We have it.
We
We have it. I am confident in the funding for the EPA. We are working with the EPA to secure those funds and then to piggyback those funds onto the New York State School Bus Incentive Program to be able to purchase our electric buses, likely less than what a diesel bus would cost.
Thank you.
And again, remind me the rotation of our buses every,
12 to 13 years. We've had part of the funding that we receive from the EPA in New York State. We have to have a certain vintage of buses. So we've been kind of hanging on to buses maybe a little bit longer. Some are in service, some are not. But those help us to kind of, we get for every bus that we trade in with the EPA funding, we get $200,000 back.
and we're good with the infrastructure for our electric buses over there?
Yeah,
We're all set.
our electric bus, the 3 electric buses that we received, they made their maiden voyage yesterday. So they are out on the road and transporting kids.
Yay.
Any questions at all from the board? Yes, Mr. Ravenel.
The difference in the tax levy between last year and what you're proposing this year is roughly $250,000. Is that correct?
$218,000.
$118,000. So theoretically, if there's some more funding that comes in from the state, and we know that before we vote, would that be used to reduce that tax levy?
It could be. It could, and we would have to have that conversation at the board level, yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay,
Don't go away. You're up. Yep.
all right.
Now, Mr. Feldman and Dr. Shaibi sit on our calendar committee with a group of stakeholders from the district, and we are ready to propose the 25-26 calendar to the board for their review over the next 2 weeks and up for vote on April 22nd.
If you would hit the first slide. So this is, I'm very appreciative of these folks. We've met a couple times to discuss the calendar. You can see, I won't read all the names, but we have a good, strong representation from all levels across the buildings in terms of parents, from the Teachers Association, from the Administrators Association, from the Service Employees Association, and then on the district. I had the pleasure of leading the calendar committee with Dr. Shaibi, who is our Human Resources Administrator. So there are some considerations that we need to take hold of as we build our calendar. There are some regulations from New York State Education Department in terms of both days and hours to help us maintain our aid level. We need to have 180 days of instruction and hours in seats, 900 hours for students in the elementary level and 990 hours of instruction for students at the secondary level. We need to take into consideration, I'll just, from that standpoint, if we don't reach those thresholds, it is possible that New York State, the Education Department could come back and take back some of our aid from that standpoint. New York, we have to take into consideration when our New York State assessments and Regents exams are, legal holidays, certainly contractual language. The regional BOCES calendar, we do try and mirror our calendar as best we can with the Erie One BOCES calendar because we do have a number of high school students in excess of 100, I believe. believe, that do attend BOCES programs. So we try and mirror their schedules, our schedule with their schedule, so as to not impact their instruction. And then we do have to look at both the potential for emergency snow closures and make sure that we have enough emergency snow closure dates or weather dates into the calendar so that we can maintain and meet the regulations set forth by New York State Ed. And then we certainly do take stakeholder feedback from each of the groups. So these are the legal holidays that we may not schedule school on: Labor Day, Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples' Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day. New last year is the Chinese Lunar New Year. The Chinese Lunar New Year falls this year on February 17th, which is during our midwinter recess. So we caught a little bit of a break there in terms of a day of instruction. President's Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, and Independence Day. So these are the dates that we are proposing as part of our 25-26 calendar for the board's consideration. We would like to start on Thursday, August 28th, with a staff development day and an opening day situation, much like we did this past school year. And then our first student day would be on Tuesday.
That'll be the virtual.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
correct. It
Yep.
would be a virtual day.
Yep.
But what we also did there too is we invited our service employees in for that day, including our bus drivers. Traditionally, our bus drivers have done, a day of dry runs as we prepare for the start of the school year. Last year, they actually did 2. And that seemed to work fairly well. So the first student day would be Tuesday, September 2nd. Election Day, which is November 4th, Tuesday, would be a staff development day and no school for students grades UPK through 12. Thanksgiving recess is Wednesday through Friday, November 26th through 28th. On Friday, December 5th, it's an elementary half day. Our elementary students will be in attendance in the morning and then be dismissed midday and allow our elementary staff to prepare for report cards. And then December 12th would be elementary parent teacher conference days, also a day of no school for our elementary kiddos. December, we hit winter recess. The winter recess this year is 2 weeks in length. It is Monday, December 22nd through Friday, January the 2nd. That again mirrors what Erie One BOCES is doing from their calendar that was approved last month. Midwinter recess, again, February 16th through the 20th. As I made mention earlier, the Lunar New Year is on February 17th. March 6th would be, again, much like December 5th, a half day for our elementary kids in the morning, and then afternoon would be report card day for our elementary staff. March 13th would be a full staff development day, no school for all of our students, UPK through 12, grade 12. April 3rd through April 10th would be our spring recess. And then we would end the year June 24th and 25th, much like we've done in the past, with 2 elementary half days. Rating day would be June 26th, and then the teacher last day would be Monday, June the 29th. That is structured such that contractually, the agreement between the district and the Teachers Association, the Sweet Home Educators Association, says that teachers will have 187 attendance days. By putting that day on June 29th, that gets them to 187. In building the calendar, Dr. Genestri just put out a note today about the Memorial Day holiday. Because the calendar for next year is so tight, that Memorial Day holiday situation will not happen next year. If come April 30th, if we have 3 emergency days or more left, the day that will be removed from the calendar is the June 29th day for teachers to help them get to 186.
Before you move that, if we did have to start pulling 2 or 3 days because bad snowstorms, where do you start?
I'll let Dr. Genestri answer that one. I would, again, we talked about, because of we didn't have a lot of flexibility. I would think likely, this is my best guess, like we would probably start, because we talked about the December 22nd, 23rd days. That's a Monday, Tuesday. January 2nd is a Friday. Those would be days. And then, obviously that's midwinter. But as we got into, April,
Yeah,
probably break.
Tough.
typically over, by the time January is done, we've got the bad weather out of and hopefully the lake is, the real stormy weather. So,
You'll see
knock
that.
on wood, it depends on where the weather hits, I guess.
Yeah, you'll see on the next slide, or maybe 2 slides, that we do have a number of emergency days built in. So this is just kind of a calendar summary. As I made mention, the teacher workdays is at 187, which is contractually bound. The student attendance stays as per the state education department. Secondary, 186. Which means essentially we have 6 emergency days built in. The elementary level is 185. We had 185. We wanted to make sure again that we had an ample number of emergency days from that standpoint. And then superintendent conference and staff development days, August 28th, November 4th, March 3rd, and June 29th. So this is our calendar as compared to the BOCES calendar. I know it's not real easy for folks in the audience to read, but the board does have that in their packet. The calendar on the right is the Sweet Home proposed calendar, and the calendar on the left is the Erie One BOCES calendar that was approved by their board last month, I believe. So this will be up for vote in 2 weeks to the board. I do very much appreciate, again, there wasn't a lot of flexibility in this year's calendar, so there wasn't a lot of discussion, but I do appreciate the input that we received from the calendar committee in building the calendar. And I guess I would open to any questions.
I have one question. So teachers have that first day, that virtual, right, day
Yeah.
where they have to do training, and what is that
Yes.
day?
So they actually have a month to complete the training. It would be the same as last year. So we open up the training window, and they would have, I don't remember off the top of my head the hours they would have to complete that, but worked in there is hours they can come in and set up their classroom as well. So they're not reporting necessarily on that day, but there's trainings they have to complete, and then there's time to set up their room before students come on that Tuesday.
I'm gonna ask an unpopular question.
Sure.
How much time? Because I've been the teacher that has had to
Yep.
do the bloodborne pathogen training, and then our admin wants us to learn a new program,
Oh.
and then I've got kids coming the next day
So the mandated training is about 4 hours.
Yep.
within, not the virtual training that you're talking about, like
No, the
whatever they would
mandated
have to
train,
do.
mandated virtual training, that's all the same.
Okay,
That's the 4 hours they would have to do. And then the rest hour and a half, I think, is for setup.
it's not a lot of time.
Well, I mean, again, the buildings are, folks can come in the buildings anytime. That's the point too.
Got it.
Are there any days that don't mirror BOCES where our kids would?
The only day is the day before Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Marianne.
Sorry.
I like it the other way around. BOCES is off.
The
and
only day
Sweet
is
Home
the
at
day
school,
before
so-
Thanksgiving.
But yeah. Well, BOCES does have, our contract is the Friday before Memorial Day, so we would have, BOCES would be closed on that day.
Oh, okay.
But it's the same situation.
With
We
snow
have to
days.
have 2 snow days. I think we have to have 2 emergency closures. But yeah, so that's the first day BOCES takes back, if they need, is that Friday before Memorial Day. So that's the only other day.
If we had no closures at all, would there be, then would we have the day before Memorial Day or the Friday?
Not next year. But we've worked out with the teachers to take away that June 29th day.
I
So
see,
that's
yeah.
the day that.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, I'm done.
We had our first session with the smartphone task force update, and Dr. Wilson is leading that effort. So just want to turn over to her.
Good evening, everyone. So we had a good first meeting. We had a good review of what's out there that we believe could be coming from the governor. She's put a lot of information out about her plan she's proposed a law around bell to bell, no use of phones in schools. But that does extend to other electronic devices. So we're looking at smartwatches, headphones, and so on. And so we wanted to get a sense of what's out there right now, what are people doing across the county? So we had surveys that we had from school districts from across the county to see what everybody's doing. And then we want to look at what do we have currently in place across all of our schools, the elementary schools, middle, and the high school. So the committee had a good foundational look at what's out there, what's currently in place in our schools, and the committee was excited to get into the conversation to bring consistency to Sweet Home around a district plan that would support electronic devices in our schools. So from the smartwatch, for smartphones and headphones. So we are poised to get into the meat of it. We had all of our foundational conversations. We are waiting to see what happens with the governor's proposal. We are ready to, we're beginning that work of jumping in and making sure that we are ready with a district-wide policy that will help us with our work here in Sweet Home going forward. We look at this as an opportunity to add to our district code of conduct. And we have a number of opportunities to reach out to students. We've already started that. Dr. Genestri has a number of sessions where we meet with student leaders across all of the school sites. And the last one was just last week?
Yeah.
With the high school. And so we take an opportunity each time to ask students about their thoughts around cell phone use in our schools. They have a very mature response to that. They do believe that they are a problem and that kids are distracted and that there should be something that across the board helps everybody focus in on it. And so we want to have this foundational plan and then take it to town halls to get more feedback. Nothing will be finalized until we hear back from the students and parents across the entire district. But we do have a good cross-section of different people from across the district that are representing this work. And they volunteered their time to sit in on these meetings and dig into developing that plan. So I thought it was a good start.
Is there any-
Question?
Yeah, is there any proposed funding from the governor's office?
Yeah, we dug into that too in our meeting.
The math isn't great.
What is it, 1 point?
Well, for us,
12 million, I think.
It's 12 million.
Total.
Yeah, it's
For the
12 million
whole
total.
state.
It's about
And so-
$13,000 for Sweet Home.
Yeah.
Okay, so we hadn't seen the breakdown. We just divided the number of districts in New York State.
We're guessing. at
And
this
we
point.
were, and
don't
we
know.
came up with like a number, but of course we knew it would be per pupil. So we hadn't seen that number, but we're thinking it's a very small amount, especially given the fact that she's saying, well, you can hire staff to monitor this. And I thought,
Sure.
But we'll take it.
Yeah.
And we'll use it to support the plan that we have, that we will develop.
Thanks, Dr. Wilson. Okay,
I would only say I hope the plan includes some celebration and rewards to the students for getting, it's a little bit of a accomplishment, I would say, if they can kind of get used to that.
Yeah.
And they should be, these are tough things for adults to get rid of, let alone kids.
I must say that the response from even we've asked at our elementary schools, the middle school and the high school, and the response is very mature. Our elementary students say, oh yeah, I have one, but I just leave it at home because it's not supposed to come to school. That was what was said in the one particular session. So they do understand that they need to take a step away from it and focus in on school, but that was echoed across all of the.
it was.
Yeah.
Except for probably the 8th graders who don't have them at the middle school right now and thought they were going to get them at the high school, and that could change. So, but I was really impressed with the high school group that we met with last week, and how mature they were about it, and understanding that it's an issue, understanding that change might be coming. They were very curious about how this would be implemented. And we told them, we're working on the task force now, and we'll do a series of town halls with them to make sure we get their input too.
Yeah.
Okay, as promised, we wanted to provide you with a transportation update based on a lot of the feedback that we've gotten since we've announced our new start and stop times, and the policies surrounding them. And so just want to go back a little bit to where we were. We began discussing this publicly last year once we ratified the contract with our Teachers Association, because that contract called for an additional 15 minutes of instruction for our students starting in the 25-26 school year. So we knew start and stop times were going to change anyway because of the 15 minutes of instruction. We've done tours with our PTO, PTAs this fall to discuss it. We wrote about potential changes in the Amherst B and the Sweetham Source. We sent some emails out, of course, and then back then, by the February, we received about 68 email responses. Some of them positive, a lot with concerns regarding what the policies were. So again, going back to when we announced back in early winter, the transportation situation, we knew we were adding 15 more minutes of instruction. The driver shortage continues at crisis levels. We are about half of the amount of drivers we were prior to the COVID crisis. So I think we're at 62, Mr. Feldman, about.
Yeah. Low 60s.
Give and take a few, it seems like every single day. So we were over 110 back before COVID, and that has really put us in a strain. As we know, we've been talking about that strain for the past 3.5 years or so. So back then, the proposal was to have high school and middle school have a similar bell schedule. Grades 6 through 12 would ride the bus together to and from school on the same run in order to create efficiencies, in order to fit the 15 minutes in. And we didn't want to push the middle school end time back any further. If we just added the 15 minutes of instruction, the middle school would end probably 15 to a half an hour later than it already does. And we think with a 3:55, 4 o'clock end time now, it is the latest end time of a middle school in Western New York. We also recommended at that time that we institute a 0.25 walking radius around our elementary buildings because the driver crisis really is not going away no matter what our recruitment efforts are like. And we continue to build on those. We're continuing to work with the service union in order to address it. And so, but in the meantime, we're not the only district that this is happening to. There's a driver shortage across the country, really. So we have to prepare that as our enrollment continues to go up and our drivers continue to go down, something has to give. So just as a reminder, here's the 25-26 proposals that we have on the books for our start and end times. The high school would start at 7:19 for instruction, the middle school at 7:40 for instruction, and the elementary level at 8:55 for instruction. This, as you know, will combine. Right now, we have staggered runs at the elementary level. So we have an elementary 1 and an elementary 2. This was to split the driver force. But we believe with this plan now, we can bring that together, and that has huge benefits for all of our, from professional development benefits to benefits at the music level as well, because now our kids can practice together at the elementary level after school. So, just a couple notes. We're proposing a 42-minute periods at the middle school and high school, enhanced ELA math and social and emotional instruction at the elementary schools. Contact time goes from 6:29 to 6:44 at the high school and the middle school level. And then at the elementary level, it would go to 6:30. And then the teacher length of day, which is at is currently at 715 right now, would stay that way. So back at the February meeting, we analyzed what the concerns were, the walking radius, the work schedules, early times, and 6 through 12 on the bus were the major categories. Like I said, I received some in favor, some against the proposal, and some just had questions regarding it. Since the March meetings, we've had 40 community members reach out, either through email, speaking at the board, or email and speaking at the board, and recorded their responses and their concerns. And most of the concerns, since we announced the walking radius is the walking radius, and we recorded what our community members have told us about the walking radius: lack of crossing guards, unsavory characters, I'll say, in our communities, unsafe drivers, the weather, kids walking alone, sidewalks in the winter being cleared, and just general safety were some of the concerns that were raised by those concerned about the walking radius. Other concerns that were expressed since our meeting in March: work hours, cost of childcare, long lines at the drop-off and pickup, 6 through 12 riding together continues to be a concern, and then the earlier start times. Families expressing concern at the elementary level about getting their child to school with the change, especially at Glendale and Heritage, where the time is going to be 25 minutes later than it is right now for instruction. But at Maple Muir and Willow Ridge, instruction is going to start 5 minutes earlier. So that shouldn't be an issue because parents are used to that right now. So we took what parents have told us and we wanted to address some of the specific concerns. First of all, the walking radius, and talk about what the work that we've done since the past month regarding those concerns. So the walking radius, of course, safety will always be our #1 priority. We've had constant discussions at district office. We've met with the Amherst Police Department, our contracted services, the Sweet Home Transportation Department, and our administrators. I want to say, that in talking to and having meetings with people, especially Amherst, we believe our neighborhoods are safe, our communities are safe around our elementary schools. However, there's always going to be a concern, and monitoring it 100% of the time is very tough. And we've discussed ideas basically, and one of the things that we looked at and talked to was our contracted transportation. So what we are recommending next year, we came to you earlier and said we would like to rebid because we contract out 41 daily runs, as Mr. Feldman mentioned before when he was given his budget presentation. And we're utilizing right now about 29, 30 of those runs. It can change on a daily basis. We were talking about rebidding them next year. So we are not, because the budget is tight, we are not overpaying for runs that we're not using. However, I'll let Mr. Feldman elaborate his negotiations and our negotiations with our transportation services. We believe that we'll keep the 41 runs here and pull back some of our drivers and use our contracted runs for out-of-district runs in McKinney-Vento. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, you did. So when we bid the large contracted transportation bid in the 21-22 school year, as I made mention earlier, there were 41 runs to the 41 schools that we were bidding at the time. The winner of the bid gave us two prices, kind of an a la carte price for each of the schools, and then a significantly discounted price if that vendor was awarded the bid in its entirety. So what happens now is we are paying a significantly discounted rate based upon 41 daily runs. However, we're not using all 41. So we met with the contractor and I said, either I'm going to go back out to rebid or we're going to have to look to do something a little differently from that standpoint. So he said that, you know, and Dr. Jester's got up there that we had 30 runs. He said, give me 11 more runs. And we'll just slot them into the spots that you're not currently using. We'll maintain our price, and you won't have to go back out to rebid. So we felt as though from that standpoint, that would allow us to do more, again, with our drivers. Because if you remember back in, well, I guess it was probably either February or March, when we talked about the walking radius, that we felt as though it was probably that we could pull back 4, maybe 5 buses. So by doing this, while they're 41 runs, they're not 41 buses. It might be a number of runs on one bus. But by doing this, we feel as though that we can pick up the drivers that would allow us to put those 4 or 5 buses back into the rotation that we would otherwise take out with the walking radius.
So, oh, sorry.
Dr. Just, and one more question. I think I see some confusion for people about us busing beyond just our 6 schools, that people don't necessarily understand where we are required to bus people. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, we are required to, and you're going to catch me off guard. What's the?
Sorry.
The McKinney vent.
Well,
the
Can you find the private schools?
I know, I can't, off the top of my head, the radius for a
About
private.
15 miles, is
It's
that?
15 miles as the crow flies. So anybody within, from their home to whatever school that they want to do, as long as it's 15 miles, we are required to transport. Anything from a McKinney-Vento, if a student is granted McKinney-Vento status and they are placed in our district, if they attend school in, I don't know, Frontier or Hamburg, that radius is 50 miles. So we have to transport those kids up to 50 miles.
Can you just explain McKinney-Vento?
McKinney-Vento are kids that have been classified as homeless. So they have either experienced a move, some catastrophic event where there may have been a fire, or they've gotten displaced, or things along those lines. So if they
That's
are
federal law.
that is federal law. If they are placed in our district, they're generally placed by the county. Once they are placed in our district in temporary housing, Sweet Home becomes the home district for them. And wherever they go, we have to transport them. And we have roughly 52 McKinney-Vento students that we have to transport.
Thanks, John.
Yes.
Thank you for asking that question, because I think there is definite confusion about what we're required to do, and some of those are out of district runs because of the mileage radius. So thanks, Mr. Feldman. So our recommendation to the board tonight would be to eliminate the 0.25 walking radius from the new transportation plans. This will also help ease concerns about some of the longer drop-off and pickup lines. I know, they are there now, and we didn't want to add to them as well. So we are going to recommend that we eliminate that 0.25 walking radius from the plan. All right. The next concern, child care in the morning and work schedules. So we've had we understand any kind of change in the start and end times is a disruption, no question. So we want to reiterate to our Maple Mirror and Willow Ridge families that it's actually starting school will be starting 5 minutes earlier next year. Glendale and Heritage is a concern because it is a 25-minute later start time than the current time. We had an awesome, excellent meeting with Just for Kids last week, and they are fully aware of the change because many of our families have already called them for updates regarding our school plans for next year. So we're working in conjunction with Just for Kids, and we will be issuing a survey out to our elementary community to determine a demand for services. JFK is willing to open additional centers if the demand from Sweet Home is there. Otherwise, the district will provide transportation from from a JFK center, which could be at any one of our 4 elementary buildings, to their community elementary school. Drop off for JFK is at 7 a.m. And there are income-based pricing structures for our families that include free options. So a family of four making less than $108,000 can work with the Department of Social Services for free morning daycare at one of our JFK centers at one of our elementary schools. We've been told by JFK that that threshold will rise when the new rates are set this summer. So stay tuned for that. But we are getting paperwork in from JFK now. We're getting more options, and we will be getting that survey out to our families soon so we can start determining what the demand is for daycare and how we can work with our families to ensure that the disruption is minimal with this start time at our elementary buildings.
Dr. Dinestri, if I could just add, JFK, they have sent kind of from that Department of Social Services with the income thresholds, they have sent kind of a step-by-step application process to us. It is also on their website. We'll put it on our website, but we'll also include it with the survey that goes home from that standpoint. I will just say that I had another conversation with the leadership at JFK today. They have been a phenomenal partner of the district. They have been willing to work with us every step along the way. What they told me today was that in addition to the help from the Department of Social Services, if there are extenuating circumstances in your family situation, to reach out to them directly, JFK, in the application process. They do have some scholarship money that is available to help offset some costs from those standpoints. But the message that I got from JFK, that we've got from JFK all along, is don't let the cost, don't let the cost be a deterrent. JFK will work with you and to work with your situation to help you as best that they can, either through support from the DSS or from their scholarships.
And I think they value our partnership too, but I was just really impressed with their leadership there and their willingness to work with us and our families. So great partnership.
So one question I have about that, because I've heard that they're really great as far as doing this kind of stuff, and I've heard lots of positive reviews. One thing that they do not do, though, is service special needs kids. So if we have families that are in need of before or after school care for special needs kids, JFK will not do it.
Yep.
What are we doing about that?
So we have to work with special programs in order to address that. Again, I think we need to determine the need and where it's at, because right now, especially Heritage and Glendale.
Right.
So we'll work to determine what the need is for before school care, and we'll do it through this survey and figure that out.
Right. So we encourage those families to do the
Everybody.
survey. Everybody do the
does
survey.
the
Otherwise,
survey.
we will not know.
We will not know.
Right.
And
Okay.
then we cannot provide that service that they need.
Excellent. So fill out the survey. Got it.
6 through 12 ridership. We know in doing our transportation department does the schedule every day and counts the number of riders each and every day. So at the just for information purposes, the morning ride at the high school averages 17 riders per bus. Now there are some buses with more, some buses with less, but the average is 17. The average is 19 at the middle school in the morning, 16 in the afternoon at the high school, and 21. So one of the concerns that we heard was spacing issues. We've been working with transportation. We will have space on our buses for 6 through 12. By keeping all contracted runs 41 next year, we have a chance to put more buses on the road if we need to address any spacing issue. We are reaffirming our commitment that each bus will have a bus aide to monitor student behavior. We've put out a call for additional aid. We've received 41 applications for bus aides as well. We will continue with training on how to spot issues and behavioral management techniques to mitigate issues. And our bus aides will receive additional training on reporting structures, although there is a great reporting structure in line with our administration right now. Our aides have a direct line to the principals and building administrators in order to report issues. So we really value our bus aides. We know they do great work every day on our buses, and we will make a commitment to put bus aides on each bus for our elementary and high school riders.
Dr. Janestri, also
Go ahead.
cameras, every bus?
Every bus has cameras, and each camera has audio and visual. So, we look at bus footage every single day.
I would just say that that number, that bus aid number of the applicants is very encouraging, number one, because many of our new bus drivers start as bus aides. So they start from that standpoint. Once they kind of learn the bus aid route, many of them, hopefully, knock on wood, will continue on to get training and do the required number of hours to become bus drivers.
It's like a feeder team, right?
That's the hope, Mr. Ravenel. That's the hope. We.
Farm team. I guess.
Yeah, it is. Many aides come in and expressing an interest to become a bus driver. There's obviously some training that they need to do, number of hours, they need to get licenses and things along those lines. So they'll start as aides. Some continue on as drivers, some don't.
That's my hope for the resolution of this issue. I think in the end, it is bus drivers we need. So- But I did have a couple concerns I've heard. Again, safety is our number one issue. I understand that. Also, the length of time for the middle school kids on the bus, I've heard, have you addressed that at all? So it goes from a relatively short ride to a longer ride because you're picking up a greater bunch of kids.
They'll be picked up at the common stops. So the only extra time would be them getting on and off the bus, just additional students. So the middle school and the high school will have they'll have the same stops, but they meet at common stops now anyway. So that shouldn't increase. The one increase that might take place is that the morning run will go to the high school first and then drop off and then go to the middle school. That'll be a 10 to 15 minute increase. But as far as the length of the runs, we don't see that increasing because we have common stops now for middle school and high school.
Very good.
Mr. Ripple, if I could give you an example, I live at a T intersection and there's a bus stop for the kids in front of my house, basically. And there's 4 kids from the high school in the morning, then an hour and a half later, roughly, there's another 4 kids from the middle school. So those kids would all be jumping on at the same time now in the morning. I think they'd actually be filling up the buses faster. So the run minus the part between the schools should get a little bit shorter.
How
Okay,
long does the run itself take?
That I have no idea.
It
No.
depends. It could run.
It's usually anywhere from 20 to 35 minutes, depending.
Yeah.
Now, again, the goal is to try and kind of get that number fairly consistent across the board, based upon ridership and things along those lines. Like the transportation department now is busy kind of planning and routing from that standpoint. So, students may not be on the same bus as they were this year. Their bus number may change based upon the overall ridership of that. And, to max out the number of seats on the bus.
So if we estimate conservatively like 30 minutes for a run, we are adding 10 minutes to that. That's the only increase, right? Is the time that it takes to drop off kids at the high school and then head to the middle school.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even know if it would take that long because they come in, they drop and they go. So
They
it
go,
might be
yeah.
5 minutes. But
We built in a little extra,
Yeah.
hopefully.
And I had other.
No, go ahead.
Please. We know what the start stop times are, right? But we don't know yet when they pick up times, when they're need to be at the bus stop. And how soon do we know that so that parents and people can start planning? Again, from what I hear, it's 10 days prior to school start.
Generally, that's
So we get hundreds of kids over the summer, either withdrawing or registering here, and it's a very fluid piece. So we send out postcards over the summer, but by the time people receive those postcards are outdated because we've had people move in or register. It's very difficult to give a time. I would say it's relative to where you are now. So if your bus comes 20 minutes before the start of instruction, I would plan on that being relatively the same.
Again, I think that information needs to get out.
I would agree. I think we could provide an estimate to kind of start.
Yes.
But to Dr. Dinestri's point, I mean, we had 300 kids register over the summertime and that last summer, and that does impact our routing. But we could provide albeit a rough one, but we could provide an estimate as to times that folks could expect busing.
Stop Finder actually made things happen a couple of days quicker than usual last year. I know my son didn't
Correct.
drive, but like I kept the app on my phone and it popped through.
Correct.
And then the postcard came like days later. So that's,
And what I would encourage, the Stop Finder is real time, so that if there are changes based upon, last minute enrollments and things along those lines, in terms of either stops or pickup time, the app is updated. So I would encourage folks to get the Stop Finder app, and we will send out, again, communication. We've done it every summer, but we'll send it out again for folks to do that.
We might change up the postcard just to put it more on an estimate than a actual time, because like I said, it gets outdated really, really quickly. Probably the day you get it, it's already outdated.
And then my question is, with the change, in the afternoon, the high school kids will already be on the bus at the middle school. So the middle school bus runs would pretty much be the same time frame.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So
So
there is
we,
no added time to the afternoon for the middle school, just the morning. It's kind of,
take turns.
it's alternate. It's longer in the
Yep.
morning for middle school and longer in the afternoon. for high school.
exactly, Mr. Galante, exactly.
And one more question. I know we heard from a few of our parents with special needs kids. If your IEP is specific, that is not going to change,
Not going to
correct?
Will
change. We
not
have to follow
change.
the mandate.
We have to
Mandated by
follow.
law that we
That's what
follow
we
the
follow.
IEP.
Got it.
And finally, earlier start times being a concern for our community. We knew we had to add 15 more minutes of instruction based on our contracts with our Teachers Association. So we didn't want to push the middle school end time any further, and we knew we needed to make this change. So by putting the elementary run as the last run of the day and all on one schedule, it'll help eliminate delays that we are currently experiencing at the elementary level. Our middle school students will now have more time in the afternoon to participate in extracurriculars. Middle school students could also be home in the afternoon to care for their younger siblings. We hope and have heard that more middle school teachers could host after-school activities, including coaching. We're getting closer because of this plan to our goal of reestablishing after-school runs to pre-COVID levels. So we are excited about that piece of it. By eliminating the staggered elementary schedule, we improve after-school music activities for band and chorus, now that they're all on the same schedule. And we will continue to work with Office of Curriculum Instruction, PE, Health, and our administrators for additional programming on cell phone usage, media habits, and the benefits of sleep, and what that can do for our students. So, we understand it's a change. We understand, especially at the middle school, it's earlier than it is now. But we believe there are many benefits to it, and we, of course, will help with our wellness campaigns to make sure that our programming is modernized and up to speed to help our students. So in conclusion, I want to thank our community for the feedback. It has been gathered. We have listened to you. I know I've written probably hundreds of emails at this point. And it's been great. It's been how it should work. And we appreciate that our community has expressed their concerns. We've appreciated the ones that have expressed positive feedback as well. And always encourage to write, call, email, or stop in for a meeting. The recommendations we made tonight in the plan are based on what the community has told us. They include the elimination of the 0.25 walking radius at the elementary schools. We will survey the community to determine needs for our parents that are working and have childcare needs in the morning. We will staff each bus with a aid or monitor and provide behavioral management training, and we'll work to provide additional wellness programming for our students in grades 6 through 12. So I wanted to see if there's any questions about that.
I just want to say one thing because I think we've mentioned it probably a few times in some way or another to the community. We read every single email we get, every single letter, every single phone call. I know we've all received phone calls that we absolutely listen to. And some of the feedback has been, well, you're not listening. We are listening. It might not agree with what you're thinking, but we are listening. We hear what you say. We've got 3,800 kids to watch out for, but I just want to assure you, each and every one of us take this seriously. I mean, we have a big commitment on this board. So I just want to tell parents, we are listening. We hear what you're saying.
If I just add to that too, if anybody sends an email just to an individual board member, we do share it so everybody on the board is aware of what's been said.
And also, I guess I'm going to add this too. If you address it to a specific person, then we try and answer you. If you address it to Dr. Genestri and the board, usually it's Dr. Genestri who will respond. If you address it to the board in a whole, the board president is usually the one to respond so that 6 people aren't responding to you.
Questions? Thank you. On our May 6th study session, we will unveil the final 10 Panthers. These are the student concepts that you see. 26 Shirts is working with us right now to develop these into and refine them so they can be our Sweet Home logo. We will vote on May 20th. The entire community, our kids, parents, faculty, staff are encouraged to vote. And we can't wait to release what the final 10 look like to you. But we're getting close to doing that, and you'll see them on May 6th. I've had a lot of questions this week regarding a request from the United States Department of Education for local school districts to sign off that they do not have DEI policies or practices in order to receive federal funding. This is basically U.S. Department of Education's interpretation of Title IX. And I want to thank the New York State Department of Education for hopping on this really quickly and not putting New York school districts in a tough spot. And they have deemed the attestation that the US DOE wants us to sign as completed already. Due to past their own interpretation of it. So NYSED believes that school districts are in compliance with Title IX, and they're not forcing us to sign any attestation. In an April 4th letter to the United States Department of Education, the New York State Department of Education states that no action needs to be taken by state or local school districts in terms of this attestation. So lots of changes happening at the federal level. We will keep you posted. I thank our community for writing their concerns to us. And obviously, this is something that we're going to stay on and continue to follow.
And Dr. Genestri, I know you've mentioned this before, but just for the benefit of the audience, our funding for next year, regardless of what happens, is we're not in jeopardy of losing that.
We are not as of today.
As of today.
So we are very confident that that's, but it's a very fluid situation. And but as of today, we are confident that our federal funding, which is in totality about $5 million, $6 million, will be here at the district.
The risk here, and I guess the state's taking that risk, if we don't sign off on that, is the risk of losing the funding. Is that correct?
There's always a risk, I would say. Yes. So if
And that's what they're saying, that they don't think there's a risk of losing that.
what I took from that letter from the Department of Education, the New York State Department of Education, is there's a legal battle brewing over this.
Definition of DEI things,
Yes.
practices. Okay. I just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thank you for the question. And then Mr. Feldman mentioned this earlier in his calendar update, but and I sent out a note to families this week for planning purposes that we have a new provision and working with our teachers that allows for us to extend the Memorial Day holiday this year if 3 or more emergency days remain as of April 30th. We're not at April 30th yet, and well, you wouldn't know it today, but hopefully winter has passed us, and we are not going to use any more emergency days.
No flights.
So we do have 3 emergency days that remain in our calendar. Unless we use one of those between now and April 30th, the district will be closed on Friday, May 23rd, in observance of Memorial Day, as well as Monday, May 26th. So it would be a 4-day weekend that weekend. And we'll announce that on May 1st when it becomes official.
Did we need to, I know some of the days did not count against us because it was
Yep.
deemed
Yep.
emergency. Did we have to
State of
apply for that or do we not need to at this point?
So we do not need to because we have emergency days remaining. So what that provision allows for is if a district exhausts all of their surplus of emergency days and has to eat into the 180 days, the state, because of a state of emergency that they declared for a weather event, will allow us to apply to get those days back.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, in our last meeting, when we were talking about positions and the people that were retiring and what we were going to do with those positions, we had mentioned at that point, or you guys had put in your presentation, that the psychologist position from the high school was going to be absorbed and not filled. In the couple of weeks since that time frame, I'm sure everybody on the board, including just before we got here tonight, received some emails, phone calls, whatever else you might have received. And I've been thinking about it a lot since that time frame, and I've got some concerns about it. And I tossed that over to you before the meeting tonight, since you guys were ready. And I'd like you to try and explain what the plan is. I don't.
Yep.
Because we didn't talk about it last time.
Yes.
It didn't jump on me then. It has now. And I'm just concerned that we're still going to be properly servicing a population that's been growing
Yep.
for the last several years.
Yes, and so Dr. Wilson has been working with Mrs. Barilari and special programs on this since we've announced it last time. And I know they're working on a plan that she'll give a preview to, but we have a May 2nd cabinet meeting that we're going to introduce it. Dr. Wilson and Mrs. Barilari, we're going to talk to our administrators about it and get their feedback, but I will turn it over to her.
Yes, we have an extensive plan that will cover all of our needs across the entire district so that there will be no loss of service. Very thankful to Director of Special Programs, Katie Barilari, who worked really closely with our current psychologists to develop this plan. And what they did was they looked at every single role that our psychologists cover across all of our sites and really wanted to make sure that we had a way to identify how we were going to make sure that happens. And so basically, we've broken it down across the 7 sites, if you include Ready as a 7th site, plus our out-of-district students. That would be private schools, charter schools, agencies, and our committee on preschool special ed, CPSE, and making sure that all those numbers are accounted for. So they actually started with the foundational numbers and looked at how we cut across the entire district and making sure we stay true to all those things that we needed to make sure we support across the entire district. So they have been chipping away at this plan. We rolled it out, shared with Dr. Genestri and the rest of the central office team. We've rolled it out now with the curriculum and instruction team. And as Dr. Genestri stated, our next plan is to go on to our cabinet, which is all of our district leadership, and then continue to span out across the district so that we are communicating the plan and how we will work to make sure we have no loss of services for our students.
It's not nearly enough information for me to understand it.
So I think, okay, here's the question that I have, because we got these letters. So just for everybody that's sitting here, the letters that we referenced at the beginning of the meeting were signed by members of the high school English and ENL departments and then members of Sweet Home High School Special Education Department. And it sort of outlines what the role of a school psychologist is and what some of the things that they're responsible for. So I know I'm also on the committee for that plan, the plan for the Counseling Services Comprehensive Plan. I'm getting that wrong. I'm sorry. It's on the website. And so I looked at the number of times that a school psychologist is actually mentioned throughout that plan for different components of things that they handle with elementary students, middle school students, and high school students. So they service all students. It's not just a special education population that they service. They're not just servicing kids that are having difficulties. They're kind of like, they're there for all of our kids. And so when I look at the number of times that they're mentioned just in our district comprehensive counseling plan, did I get it right that time? I feel like that was right. I gotta wonder how we're reducing numbers. And I know that there was mention in the budget proposal that these services would be centralized, which as a former well, so I'm still an educator, I'm always going to be an educator, is tragic to me because we have a school psychologist in each of the elementary schools, except for one who is split between two. We have one at the middle school, we have one at the high school. To take those individuals out of those school communities so that they are unable to become embedded in that school community, get to know the kids, be able to just do a quick check-in in the morning and put them somewhere else. What are we doing? Like, that is tragic because it doesn't allow for the type of responsiveness that a lot of these kids need from a school psychologist. So I think like when I see this, not knowing what your plan is, because I haven't seen your plan and I know that there's going to be a plan.
Yeah.
But that's my worry here. How are we expecting people to do so much more with one less person, which, I read this study before and I think I had seen this elsewhere, but we actually don't have the recommended number of school psychologists per students in the district that are being serviced. We're under. And so to eliminate another position, now we're further under. So I'm hoping it's a banging plan that's going to really solve everything to eliminate this really dire need.
To piggyback on.
Well, now I'm embarrassed. My face is turning red.
Something you were saying, this person's role is different than other people's role in here. I mean, they're pretty specific for our kids. They hit all our kids. A lot of our kids are coming from trauma situations that it seems like they're not the only one, but they're top leader in helping these kids get through it. And they can be called upon at any moment. Is that when a situation's happening in schools?
So if you look at that plan, the comprehensive counseling
Yes.
plan, it outlines, there's an amazing grid on there, Marianne, for each of like elementary schools,
yes.
middle schools, high schools, for like who is involved as a
It
response.
seems always that person seems to always be mentioned.
Even if it's not in writing, I feel like they probably do cover a lot of the other stuff depending on what the need is. Because
So
again,
how-
we're under our number of people,
And
so.
as Danny said, I haven't seen that plan either, but it seems like it really that's a big shoe to fill
Right.
for our kids. And we've made progress with our kids at all the elementary buildings. And I would just hate to see that taken away and jeopardize those kids.
It's a support team when you look at what we need across our schools. So we have our school psychologists, we have our social workers, we have our counselors. We have everyone that can wrap around and support our students. And so the comprehensive plan that has been developed incorporates all of those folks coming in. A number of the things, like, for example, tied to 504 plan, have already been shifted in the past year or so to social workers because we have beefed that up. So in Sweet Home, we actually, the mandate for school counselor and social worker at the elementary, we are above and beyond. So we have the extra support around a whole team that would support our students in the same areas. So it's a pretty extensive plan. It does take every single role because they went through and listed out every single role at every level that the psychs are involved in and how will we manage making sure we still have it.
So
think-
correct, I'm sorry.
And I think what we'll do, obviously, we hear the concern and we will take that and put that feedback that we're getting into the plan and review it.
So here's the worry though, is that we have to vote on this budget next
I'm just gonna
meeting.
say, as a Board of Education, we're
This is a line
responsible for
item.
crafting a budget,
Right.
and we're
in
being
2
asked to
weeks.
vote on a budget in 2 weeks.
That
And
eliminates
we
this
don't, yeah, that
position.
eliminates a position, and we don't know what that work is going to do.
Okay.
And that's a very important position, and, I mean, Sweet Home has been, and we talked about it all the time. Sweet Home is known for our special education services. People come here for the special education services. I don't know the exact number, but I believe it's like the last 8 to 10 years, our special education population has doubled. And,
Percent,
yeah, and, I'm sorry.
13%
Is it
now,
13?
was the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
number that
I,
I heard.
and like I said, and it's just to take away some services. And I know, and I've talked with parents as they're leaving the school too. It's not just what they're doing here. When they finish school, when they leave Lisa's classroom, they have to get a plan to how they're going to work with services outside that. And the psychologists are working on that. And we need to have those people because they need to understand the kids. And taking one more body out of it, to me, makes it that much tougher to know the kids, to know the families, to be able to do what we need to do to properly put those kids out into the world when they're done.
And
And that's just
schools-
one piece, because it's also 13 grades worth of kids and we have to do the same thing for.
Right.
I know there's a lot of stuff. We get the CSE stuff for every meeting that we have
This
to
month,
vote
it's
on.
300 pages. As the
Yeah.
person that reads that
Yeah.
person just sounds too integral, too important in those meetings. I mean, it just, I don't know how that.
Well, this
person-
becomes, this is a budget issue, correct? Like
Yeah,
the
because it was-
solution, I guess, as a board, we have the authority. If I mean, I'm just throwing this out. I mean, we can fund this position. Right? We can say we want this position to be maintained.
Stored, yes.
And make essentially direct the administration to, work through a budget that would maintain that position. Then obviously there would be cuts
Somewhere else.
potentially in other,
Right.
I mean, these are the challenges, but there certainly is enough. I mean, I know also, with how the relationship that these counselors and psychologists have, what they build, and that's what is so integral to helping these kids. And that relationship, you don't know when it could be the morning, could be the afternoon, when incidences and situations come up.
And we
So
constantly are telling kids, and we know kids grow by having that trusted adult, just making a connection with a trusted adult. And it sounds like this person is one of those trusted adults that I just hate to see taken away from our kids.
Well, let us work on it and I'll move quickly on it. I don't have an answer right now, but
Right.
we'll move quickly on it.
And then will you let us know
Yeah.
before we're,
We'll work on it tomorrow.
Thank you.
thank you for listening to our concerns.
That's
Anything
it.
else, Dr. Johnson?
Nope.
Okay.
That's enough.
All right, so moving on, upcoming events. Friday is the last day before spring recess. We are off from the 12th through Monday, the 21st, with a return date of Tuesday, April 22nd. We have some PTA and meetings and spring concert at Heritage Heights. And then multicultural night at Heritage Heights on the 24th, an art show at Maplemere. And then to wrap up April with the DEI committee meeting on April 28th. Okay, any questions on any upcoming events? Comments? Okay, so moving on to open session number 1. Remember, per board policy 1510, this open session is for topics related to tonight's agenda. And do we have anyone interested in speaking? Do I need to read the guidelines for you? Okay, so thank you very much.
First and foremost, Melissa Hockenberry. I have preschool twins here in Willow Ridge. Also an alumni of Sweet Home Preschool all the way through 12th grade. A lot of these teachers and administrators I grew up with. So I made a difficult decision to actually move my kids into this district because I know what kind of education they can receive and what I know from my experience, I've seen you guys be quite committed to. I was very distressed about the walking radius, as I know a lot of the other mothers were. Thank you for hearing our concerns. Thank you for responding to them in a way that gives us hope that you really do have their safety in mind. And it's going to build a lot of community trust. I can assure you, with the parents especially. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You just immensely impacted my life and helped me make sure I can ensure employment. That was a big concern. So thank you. Secondly, just wanted to express some of my concerns for all the stuff going on in the federal government with the budget cuts and threats of funding being held, and especially around DEI. I don't have a concern that the district is going to make the wrong decision. I know that we value diversity. If we don't have diversity, we're going to be in an echo chamber, and we don't need that in this country right now. We need people who are going to be bold, progressive, stand up for our kids, and not give a crap about politics, period. Politics should have nothing to do with education. And if we want this country to be better, we need to invest in our children. We need to make sure that we are teaching them to be emotionally intelligent, that we're teaching them critical thinking, that we're teaching them to use their voices. I took my preschool twins to the hands-off protest this weekend so they could see what democracy looked like firsthand. They had an amazing time. I sent pictures to both of their preschool teachers. Civic duty has fallen off the radar in schools and I think in our homes. People have gotten very complacent in thinking that this democracy will stand no matter what. It will not. If the challenging of the Department of Education isn't enough to prove that to people, I don't know what is. I could not think of a more insane idea than to take away education from the future of a nation and expect that we're going to end up in the right direction. However, right direction is probably pretty subjective at this point. So I hope, and I'm very confident that you guys will stand tall and make sure that DEI is not only not stripped away, but it's actually risen up and it increases. So once again, thank you guys.
Thank you, Melissa. Would anybody else like to speak? Hey, seeing none?
One more.
Sorry, we got one more.
Good evening. My name is Christine Lenhart, and I live on Sherwin Drive. I have two children, a 2019 graduate and one who is current classified senior. I have a vocation in both mental health and substance abuse counseling, and I have been a school counselor for 25 years. I'm here tonight to discuss my concerns over the attrition of the school psychologist position. I have grave concerns over the reduction of special education staff at a time when there is an increase in need. General education cannot stretch itself to legitimately meet the needs of the students that present themselves to teachers each day. The increase in students with IEPs can be attributed to better recognition and diagnosis of common conditions such as ADHD and autism spectrum disorders. As Board of Education members, I'm sure you're aware of the mental health needs and the families in our district. A cut to the student support team is exactly the opposite solution to addressing the growing needs of our school community. The National Association of School Psychologists and the New York State Association of School Psychologists recommends school psychologist to student ratio at approximately 555 to 1. If this cut goes through, our psychologists will have 1,017 students to 1. Our students deserve better. Many of us, including myself, moved into this district for the quality of special education you offer. Chipping away at special education staff is truly chipping away at the quality of the programs you offer. Many people often confuse roles as school counselor, school social worker, and the school psychologist. Although there are overlaps in our responsibilities, we play very distinct roles in student success. A school psychologist role is different for other roles in that they are primarily responsible for screening, behavioral assessments, interventions, evaluations, consultations, case management, and due process. They are required members of special education committee meetings. The assessments and plans are critical to students' success within the classroom. Educators don't throw out random interventions and hope something sticks. School psychologists provide accurate and precise testing results so that accurate and precise interventions can be applied. If you look at their role in this perspective, the role is actually fiscally responsible because it's efficient. They play a huge part in delivering effective services to our most vulnerable students, cutting down on wasted time and resources. Ultimately, this will increase the success of students as they transition to adulthood. School psychologists play a strong role in helping students link with XSVR and OPWDD. I am currently in this process with my daughter. Elizabeth has been a huge support for us, attending meetings, supporting us, and giving us information and guidance. It is easy to make cuts to the district jobs that work behind the scenes. School psychologists don't often affect school psychologists don't affect classroom sizes. The best and brightest of students, the easy ones, may never meet a school psychologist. We're talking about fulfilling our job ethics and responsibilities as public educators to meet the needs of all students despite learning differences. I implore you to look elsewhere to manage your budget and maintain the quality of program of special education my daughter and all others deserve. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Jonathan?
Hello, my name is Jonathan Makeley. I'm a committee member in the district, 5 Durham Drive, and I would like to speak on a few issues that have been talked about at the meeting. And first off, I will say that in here we have the important work of trying to do the best we can to try to ensure that all students can have access to a good quality education, to try to meet that need as well as we can. And with that, one important aspect of that is diversity, equity, inclusion. I myself am a member of the DEI committee, and the DEI committee and other aspects of the school that do this DEI work have play an important role in working to promote a sense of belonging for students, to promote a sense of community, to work to better ensure that the needs of students are being met, that there's a fairness in how students are being treated, and of working to expand the opportunities that are available for students so that each student has a better opportunity to grow and to learn. Additionally, another important aspect of this work comes to for inclusion comes with the matter of special education for with that special education work is an important aspect for ensuring that all students have their needs met. As a member of the autistic community myself, having a good quality support within education is, from my experience, a very important thing to ensure that students can better meet their potential to learn, to be able to have a better quality of life throughout their lives. Thus, I would say that's important to do the best we can to ensure that we are providing as much support for students as we are able to continue to work to make progress on that front. And additionally, I would like to speak a little bit in regards to the busing matter, which, as we all know, in these months has been a major topic of discussion that many people have voiced their concerns about. I think everybody who's participated in that discussion for making their voices known, and for those who have worked to try to incorporate that input into plans. And I hope going forward that we'll continue to make progress, be able to try to do the best we can to try to make a plan for busing that can work as best as we can for people, and can try to ensure that community has a sense of that they've been heard on this matter. And that's what I've had to say. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I first want to say I completely 100% second what Christine had said in regards to the school council, the school psychologist situation, and that's what I'm here to speak about today. My name is Jessica Wager. I reside at 245 Sunset Court in Amherst. My son Blake, you've all seen here. I'm a proud parent of 2 boys. One graduated last year, and then Blake is a super senior. I built my home here in the district 12 years ago because of the reputation that Sweet Home has for special education and inclusion, and the quality of staff, and having the best teachers and supportive staff. I stand here today disappointed that we even are having this conversation in today's climate where we're talking about removing such a pertinent role in the mental, physical, and developmental health of our students. School psychologists have many roles, and perhaps a lot of people don't know directly. However, their primary role is the stability of our students, and they are the heart of our buildings. It has been suggested that such a crucial position be absorbed by an already short-staffed team. Christine mentioned the numbers. In this climate of rapidly increasing students with mental health and behavioral challenges, how can we even think on lessening the staff that support them? Is this a good way to improve the safety for all of our students? How can we divide the heart of our buildings into pieces? Perhaps it's because Mrs. Sigurdson has done such a phenomenal job that it has been lost. And I'm sorry, I'm emotional because she and her work has affected me so personally and has helped my children. She's done such a phenomenal job that has been lost just how important the role is with our students. How seamlessly she manages to complete her long list of mandatory demands within the special education system, and yet still manage to genuinely care for and support the students and parents that she works with every day. Not just our special needs population, but all of our children. I can bet the majority of students have crossed paths with Mrs. Sigurdson or her amazing counterparts at some point in their time at Sweet Home. Thankfully, someone was there to give them the trained support that they needed. I implore you to reconsider the absorption of this crucial position. We need to add, not subtract, and immediately begin the very difficult task of finding her replacement. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will move on with our agenda. So new business, remember, we will be voting on this new business items A through L next week, or I'm sorry, on April 22nd. I missed my note that I even created for myself to make sure I didn't get it wrong. Okay, so let's go through our new business A through L. Letter A is the budget adoption for the 25-26 school year, policy 5130. Are there any questions or discussions on A? Okay, moving on to B, special education placements, class placements and preschool class placements. I know, Marianne, you said it was over 300 pages.
Over
I'm getting
300
through them
pages
myself.
This month, so give me a little
Well,
time.
usually March, April is
the
the big
heavy
month because that's
month,
where
but
our
the
CSE meetings
reassessments, yep.
are.
So give me a little time to get through those 300.
Okay, special education, also preschool class placements included in that. C, monthly financial reports, policy 2140. Any questions or discussion on them? Okay. Letter D, sorry. Office supply bids, athletic uniform bids, and general classroom art supply bids, policy 5410. Is there any questions or discussion on those? Okay, E is the district vote, policy 1611. We will be voting on our chief election inspector and our inspectors of election on the 22nd. Any questions, comments on those? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Believe it or
Mr.
not, I had
Gravenall.
someone ask me how they can volunteer for that day-long job. Is it something that goes through home office or the?
We approved our volunteers, right? Like, I don't know if it's a.
This is approving volunteers, like,
This list right here
yeah.
for the people. Yeah. So they've already done it.
Well, I know, but if somebody wanted to volunteer, do that job, how would they go about asking about it?
They can call the district
Call
office.
the district office? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on. Letter F, Erie One BOCES, our Erie One BOCES budget. And our Erie One BOCES board members. I believe there are 3 open seats with 3 interested candidates. Mary Bussey and Mark Mecca are incumbents running for another term, and Cam Hall is a new
Yeah, he's vice president.
vice president of Hamburg, I believe, who would be running for the open seat Is that Mr. Loeb's retirement?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Who was the retired? Who was?
Andy Loeb?
Oh, Andy Loeb.
Yeah,
Oh, Andy.
he retired, he's been, as far as I know, he's close to at least 40 years in working and volunteering on school boards, both in his home district and at Erie Wimbosi. So I think he retired already at the beginning of the year. So his seat is currently open.
I think so. I'm not positive.
I'm pretty sure he already retired.
Last I knew, he was still playing senior hockey, so.
I don't know. But Cam Hall is running for his open seat. Any questions on letter F? Comments? Okay, moving on to G, revised policy, policy 1410, our second reading. Those are on Title IX, equal education opportunities and educational services for married or pregnant students. And I believe that those are all deletions or.
Basically, we're taking us back where we
Taking it back
were,
to what
and
we were.
the last one, the 75-55 had been something that was put in a few years, a year ago maybe,
Yeah.
at the recommendation of BOCES Policy Service, and with the changes and going the other direction and the Title IX stuff, it came back out. Did I say that right, Sherry? Thanks.
So you're
She has to follow all
defaulting
this
to
stuff first.
75-54, right? Defaulting to the 75-54. Did I understand that right?
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Dirk. I'm
You're
sorry.
defaulting to 75-54. Are you reverting back to that, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So 46 pages later. Okay, it's the language in there I'm concerned with, so I'll probably just vote no on that.
Oh.
Just so you know. All right.
It's reverting. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on. Our school district calendar, the district attendance calendar, the payroll calendar, and the holiday calendar. Any comments or questions on that? I know we did have a discussion on that earlier today. New business continued, letter I, the acceptance of donations. They believe there are 4 separate $730 donations for benches. Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct.
So we have one from is it the Roche family? Is that
Resch.
Resch? The Resch family, one from the Mendel family, the high school PTSA, and Dollars for Scholars.
Where are these benches going?
So the Resch family, it's in memory of a longtime high school math teacher. He actually taught me math when I was here 112 years ago. He was also the track and field and cross country coach. So Mr. Schumo, our athletic director, and Mr. Resch's son walked the cross country course and found a place for the bench on the cross country course. Sue Mendel is a longtime administrator here in the district. Lastly, the principal at Heritage Heights Elementary School. She is asked to have a bench put out in memory of her daughter out near the Heritage Heights playground. And then the PTSA at the high school and the Dollars for Scholars Committee are placing 2 benches along the alumni walkway, the brick walkway outside of the main entryway of the high school in memory of Lori Caccinetti. Lori was a longtime PTSA mom and also was on our Dollars for Scholars Committee. And Lori passed away about 2 months ago from cancer. So this is how they're honoring her.
So this program, has it been around for a while? It's a nice program. I relate it to other things. Senior Center does something with bricks. They sell bricks, or people can buy bricks in memory of things.
Yeah, the high school PTSA does an annual fundraiser for brick sales for, alumni or anybody that they really want to might honor. The brick walkway has been in place for about, I think this is 3 years now. 3 years in place.
It doesn't just have to be in memory. It could be any reason.
It can be, right. It can be any reason.
Correct.
There can be any reason. You can put anything on a brick that you want. They traditionally do it a couple times a year. When it comes out again, I can certainly forward it to the board so that they can see it. But they do use the money to offset the cost of the brick and then to help fund scholarships.
So which organization does these bench things?
Well, it's not the bench. That the benches are in memory of people that have passed away. The families of each of these folks have asked the district to place a bench in memory of a loved one. The high school PTSA and Dollars for Scholars got together to kind of figure out a way to honor the memory of Lori Conchinetti. So we're placing benches
So,
outside.
so it's not a set program.
No.
They came to the district. and
Correct.
Said they'd like to do something
Correct.
like this. Okay,
Correct.
that's what it's one. It's a nice thing. It's very
Thanks.
nice. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on letter I? Okay, moving on, letter J, SEQRA capital outlay project. I believe that is for the new digital sign at the high school and the door, the locking mechanisms. for
Not the
door.
logging,
Or
there's just the capital outlay project is, again, it's dependent upon the budget passing
Okay.
in May. It's $100,000 that allows us to do small capital projects without a voter referendum.
Okay.
It will be to replace the digital sign out in front of the high school, as well as several doors in the athletic wing.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Any questions or comments on letter J? Okay, moving on to letter K, BOCES Dexter Terrace, Sweet Home contract. This is, I believe, for BOCES to use Dexter Terrace in its entirety for a summer school a 6-week summer school program. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, and then finally, letter L is dispose of obsolete property. I believe that was a cutter or mower or something.
I don't remember what it was.
Something like that.
It's something from the maintenance department. I remember it was some kind of upright cutter or something.
Oh, it's a mixer.
The
It was a
mixer. The
mixer.
mixer. Okay.
That's right. It
sorry,
was from the
mixer.
food service department. That's right.
Okay. All right, that leads us to, or any questions or comments about that? Okay, that leads us to our second open session. Would anyone like to address the board and our second open session? Okay, seeing nobody, we will move on to our personnel. Again, we will be voting on this at the 22nd. So we have first teaching and administrative, A, B, C, regular appointments and leave of absences, the substitute appointments and interscholastic activity appointments. Any questions or comments on them? No? Okay, and then to service, again, we have regular discontinuance, retirements, resignations, some appointments, and then some other regular appointments and reinstatement from leave. Any questions or comments on any other personnel? Okay, we do not have any items of information. We are going to do our information segment on the 22nd. Which leads us to adjournment. We will, and we will not be, we are adjournment. There is no need for an executive session. So meeting will be end. So may I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, our meeting is over. Thank you very much.